almost there. Bear with me. For some reason, my laptop is completely slowing down, but there we go. In theory, that could be sharing right now. Cool. All right, here we are. It's time for Town Hall meeting number 181. It's March 3rd, 2026. And today we are being joined by, first of all, my way too slow laptop. Yeah, there we go. Today we're being joined by Ashley, Tina, Colleen, Haley, Malik, Major DeFi, Devo, and Vanny. Thanks for being here and sharing your time with us. As you can see on the screen, a quick outline of today's agenda. Starting off with a couple of mentions on the Invisible Work Hero of the Week. And yeah, then today's main topic will be an update on the program Restructure. And if there's any time remaining after that, well, there could be room for open topics. Let's see what the clock does. First, a quick reminder on what the Ambassador Program even is and what we're doing. Basically, we're a group of quite like-minded people that are all in tune with the mission and vision of SingularityNET and its wider ecosystem, building towards beneficial AGI. We do this through a wide range of self-organizing work groups. So if you're interested in helping out, we do have a work group that fits your interests and your needs and your talents. So yeah, do hop onto our Discord server and you'll find the how to join section there. This will explain you how to join. And with that out of the way, a couple of mentions. First of all, the workgroup syncing call was originally planned for yesterday, but got pushed out by a week. It was overlapping with the Nunet Network Live celebration stream. And yeah, well, that's the short version. So the next one will be next Monday will be the workgroup syncing call. It's at 15 UTC. And yeah, I did also want to call out the actual Nunet Network Live. Basically, it was in the works for, I think, early 2018, so close to 8 years. But they made it. It actually happened. You can now basically share your device, your compute power, your basically CPU, GPU, and share it with the network and get some rewards in exchange for that. Or the other way around. You could purchase some compute in exchange for Nunet tokens. Basically, if you want to dive in there, nunet.io will, yeah, basically funnel you right where you want to be. And I wanted to quickly call out some of the polls in the governance channel. Earlier today, and this is kind of tying into the restructure topic, or kind of fully. Earlier today during governance, we discussed some of the poll results, and yeah, I would say input is still very much welcome. But rather than clicking one of the replies in the polls, I think most useful would be basically text-based insights on the topics we're polling about, because yeah, adding one more emoticon at the bottom of the poll right now won't make that much impact. But if you add something text-based, it will for sure get pulled into the conversation. And with that covered, let's have a quick check. It's going to be a surprise for me as well if we have any new nominations popping up this week. Well, we don't. Last entry was covered last week. So let me shift that into a reminder. Let me try and find the link. I'm not quite sure if I can do that right now, to be honest. Should really paste this on the slide so I just have it handy. But yeah, let me put a gentle reminder. If there's anybody in your work groups, in your teams, helping out, building community, being nice, making you smile, You can nominate them, and they will get some recognition for being awesome. And yeah, that's basically what the form is for. So I can only conclude last week nobody was smiling. That's a bit sad conclusion, but no, just kidding. Um, yeah, I just wanted to call that out. I will try and find the link. It's really shitty to do that during screen share. Oh, there we go. Funny. Thanks a lot. Yeah, that's the form right there in chat. Cool. Thanks for that. And that will bring us to the main topic for today, being an update on the restructure. So, yeah, like I mentioned earlier today during governance, we did try and hash out what the answers we received in the polling, how to work with them, what they mean. Well, a preliminary result there would be that it appears most are quite happy to shift a decent portion of our budget towards project-based working. And it's going to be a bit of a puzzle on what exactly, for example, what falls under administrative tasks. And would we want every project to assign a bit of their requested budget to these administrative tasks, or do we perhaps want to instigate a work group that's always active and always, on standby for doing this type of admin work? There's stuff like treasury. There's probably 5 others that are always relevant. Like we have a bunch of subscriptions. Clearly, that's not really working to get assigned in a project-based approach. So we'll have to have a little think around that. And right now, you can check on the governance channel in Discord. One of I think pretty much the most recent post links to a sheet where we're right now collating potential projects to run in Q2. And we're also trying to put a bit of a budget to it. This is relatively ballpark estimates right now, not like fully what's the word? Not fully split out into every last dollar, let's say, but more, yeah, trying to get a grasp what it could look like. And also, well, one of the polling questions, for example, was like, should we focus on just doing one big project? Should we have multiple smaller ones or something in between? So, yeah, collecting these ideas on what projects, including their budgets, would look like is going to be informative of that. Thanks for sharing that link. I assume that that's the sheet where the project ideas are. Nice. Thanks, Colleen. Yeah, so well, it's an ongoing discussion, clearly. And yeah, I think that more or less covered what we discussed earlier today. Please, if somebody in the room feels I'm forgetting stuff, please do chime in. Can only assume that means I covered it perfectly. Nice. Um, Yeah, well, as you can see on the slide as well, one of the topics so far we haven't really puzzled out would be on tooling and how to go about us having, for example, with deep funding, quite some duplication of efforts in a way, or at least systems that aim to do the same thing. And yeah, that's a bit of a tricky puzzle because clearly our own tooling is, well, it's mostly in-house built, so yeah, custom made for our needs and our insights on yeah, what we want things to be like. At the same time, yeah, if we're working more closer together with deep funding and BGI, having multiple task management systems might not be the best way of going about things, for example, or having multiple treasury systems, or, well, you name it. Just in the same way as we wouldn't really need multiple marketing work groups or circles, the same would go for tooling. And yeah, this is going to be a bit of a puzzle. Um, right before this call, I was talking with Haley and Raphael, and well, we only touched the surface pretty much of what we need to compare on tooling, but yeah, I figured I would at least bring this up right now. Um, Yeah, also, Haley, not to put you on the spot, but in earlier calls today, there was so many moments where you were sharing very concise and well put thoughts on how the shared future with deep funding and BGI was looking like. I figured like, well, I'm just gonna ask you like whether you would want to be on the town hall and yeah, share a bit about that. To me, it's really interesting to. I mean, you clearly coming from BGI perspective. Um, you've been on these town halls quite a lot, so I think you're relatively up to date on what we're doing. And I kind of feel same for deep funding. However, you have a way with words that surpasses mine big time. So, yeah, I figured.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Peter, very much. Yeah, I think I was at the first. I think I was at the first ambassador meeting,
Yeah,
and many along the way, and far more actually than Deep. Though BGI did partner, of course, with Deep for our grant funding round, so I'm familiar at least with a lot of their processes, and Jan is good at sharing what they're up to. But yeah, I think this is a really important moment. I think that we're feeling it within SingularityNet, and that feeling is coming out to the community as well, and to how the organization and the community are working together, where for a long time there was progress on AGI and AI, and then of course ChatGPT, and a few years ago now, put AI on the map for everybody in the world and changed the narrative. And then since then, and especially in the past year, in the past couple years with Meta online, the past 6 months with DOS 1.0 online, PLN 0.5 online, Mork, a whole new technology ready. We're feeling the acceleration of Hyperon and AGI and all these processes. And this, along with the realities of tokenomics, I mean that the whole organization is really hyper focused on how do we accelerate Hyperon? We're at the precipice of this vision, and how do we all come together and really align powerfully to get there? And we're doing that internally in so many ways. It's really exciting to feel that energy coming forward from all of our research teams, and to see real usable developments come out of it too, and be used and implemented. And the same thing with the community, right? For a long time, the organization was not very communicative with the ambassadors and Deep about how to help with the mission, right? And the ambassadors, you all are here because you want to help with the mission, because you feel as passionately as anybody about bringing it forward, and have repeatedly asked for more guidance and more input. And that moment is like, it suddenly dawned and makes sense, how we do that better, I think, right? By coming together, by making sure that everything inside the organization and everybody who wants to help from the community can do so in a really concerted, powerful way. So this is what's happening here. This is the energy that's coming together. And then of course BGI Nexus is gaining energy, gaining momentum, gaining community. And we're also looking in BGI Nexus of where do we land some of this? How do we get help from these community arms that have already built these great systems, right? We don't need to invent treasury management and task management again. You guys have great systems, and the ambassadors in particular, I think, have amazing systems and amazing conversations of relevance. This governance polling that you were just talking about in Discord is a thing that is hard for decentralized communities that you all have been practicing and built technology around. Like, how do we surface what is most important in what direction to go, right? To be most effective, to be most efficient. And I'm super excited about all of that. But again, it also, looking at these three initiatives, it becomes apparent. It's like, well, we can do more if we're doing it sort of once and together instead of each separately, right? And we can be more efficient in providing that input, that guidance, that sharing, if there's kind of a one space to share into. So, we're looking at BGI Nexus, Deep, ambassadors. How do we bring these beautiful pieces of technology and collaboration together to highlight the most valuable portions of them, but make them also easy to use across teams and groups inside the organization, outside the organization, and be putting as little time, attention, and resources into that by having a single simple system, and enabling us to spend more budget on the stuff that matters to building AGI, BGI. So again, Nexus doesn't want to build these systems because they're here, they're already built. How do we incorporate and grow them, and how do we do that so that Deep ambassadors and BGI Nexus can all do that really transparently together, and the organization can communicate with that transparency easily also. So we have this moment here that we're really seizing and acting upon, and a lot of energy. It coincides with the restructure in the ambassadors. And so I guess I'm here as a listener, as a participant, as an interested party, to see how can we understand, how can we see what's been built here in the ambassadors uh, that's so unique and so valuable. How can we keep that and move it forward and grow that? And how can we, um, combine that with what Deep has also built in their experimentation to build a stronger system together? And I think, I just want to say again, I think that this community has been incredible I mean, because there was so little guidance given, this community has specialized, it seems to me, in relevance finding and strategy finding, and in deciding and self-organizing how to do the most with little. And I think that that's an incredibly special gift that not all organizations create, most don't, that I think that I want to help carry forward into this combination. I think that I know from my work and reputation in the ASI chain that ASI chain is coming, and it will have reputation and it will have governance, and that we need to begin building that governance piece for SNet between here and there, so there's established processes before launch. And I think the ambassadors are uniquely poised to help with that, to help with this coordination, and to help build that piece. And so I'm here with the secret agenda of hopefully recruiting folks to help with that not so secret agenda.
Nice. Yeah, thanks a lot. I guess that's a natural point to ask the room for any questions or thoughts.
Well, first of all, Haley, thank you so much for coming and talking to us about this important issue of integrating all three aspects of the ecosystem, because in my belief, we are the core, all three of those places, the BGI Nexus, deep funding, and the ambassador program. So I would like to offer an analysis, if I'm able to do it, hopefully, of all three systems at a high level and see what we can start from there.
Yeah, nice.
It would be amazing. BGI Nexus has almost nothing but passionate working groups, so that part will be easy, and a Mattermost.
Just wanted to call out in chat, Fanny pulling up from the archive. Confirmation that indeed, yes, you were at the first town hall back in May 2022. That's pretty awesome. And also, indeed, yay for the archive capturing that.
Yeah, to jump in and to add, sorry, Pete, to interrupt. Yeah, when putting together the video for the governance dashboard, yeah, I can also confirm that. And then going back to definitely the synergies of, we discussed, I think, AI ethics workgroup on Monday. How much room for collaboration, cross-pollination between both efforts. Definitely, last Wednesday, MMO thing have so much to do with our governance, the governance dashboard, our, this self-organizing design, always, learning process. Definitely a lot of room for improvement. But to identify problems and that's part of the trip. But as I said last Wednesday, it's a place also to learn. When you bring new fellows with new ideas. For me, everything was old, but at the same time new, because something we do just organically, a lot of it's common sense in some aspects, that we bring from our experience, but then also the correlation with Nunet project launch, the good timing of that, how much we can, as BGI ambassadors, funding deep, we need to pick our battles better, to use better our resources and also this project that are kind of leading and showing us, the path. Probably we should put our focus on helping too, because they really kind of are leading the BGI. Well, they have the infra for us to bring the conceptual and all the knowledge from the BGI. So yeah, so good timing and big kudos for Nunet team also.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just wanted to add, always when talking in this working closely together with deep funding and BGI from ambassador perspective, there's a fourth pillar in this, which is hackathons and hackathon efforts. Like in itself, it's not really a group yet. However, intention-wise, it very much is. So yeah, it's a bit weird. Like they're not actively represented in these discussions because it's not like a set group. Like if you have a Hack India, it's going to be different people than, well, it's local places, right? So yeah, just wanted to call that out. This is part of the bigger whole.
Question about that. Isn't that actually under deep funding though, or no? Like officially right now?
Well, there is, yes. But there's also outside of deep funding, there's hackathons as well. Like the Hack India one, I don't think was within deep funding. Do correct me if I'm wrong, though. I'm not exactly sure which one was where, but I think so far, let's say for the past year, there were about 5 hackathons. Yeah, and in the effort of uniting the community into one place, well, those people are community as well. That's just a little call out there.
Well, I will say one thing. I still am clear about the coordination layer, like, because I don't think you can centralize all these 3 groups. They have their own culture now, and they also kind of trained or like experience themselves into like a group. I don't know how to explain it, but there is like a way to have like better cohesion, like, yeah, and like reusing the systems. Regarding like what is like, now we are in this odd situation where I feel like the system and products we've been building are no longer that relevant. Like, considering that it took me to like few years to build the treasury to that point it is now, I could build a far better treasury in just less than few weeks now, considering the advancement of code generation and like your individual, I guess, documentation knowledge. And just so for me, I feel like we rather need like a specialized team that is focused on going to these different circles and like creating discussion streams or to gather that like intelligence. And from that, yeah, again, one bit of that thing that also bothered me today in the governance work group was that people see us as, I don't know, more as a testers or experimenters, but we are also builders here. Like, we don't just put that, like, maybe the building reputation on the ambassador program because we can't afford it. But many of us are like developing stuff and constantly doing as a side project, because like many of us who joined here in the early days was to kind of get this like decentralized governance working, which is the ethos of SNET2, to figure out how can you give access AI to all the people and make it like a meaningful way. So that's like one side of like how this coordination is being thought of, and another part is that rewarded or this is a volunteer position? Because yes, of course it's like possible with volunteering, because when I see like non-profit organizations, they kind of get their stuff done. But now with few years of like being part of different Cardano groups and different communities who come and go, like the volunteerism kind of burns out people way too much. And I don't want to see like just thousands of people I will never know about or never meet again because they gained their skill, they did something, and they now moved on to like office work because that pays the bills. So yeah, with that like critical position of coordination, is there like any funds on that? And when you're mentioning like, okay, is ambassador program, okay, join, like are we, do we need to take that focus, and are we paying for that focus? Which is like funny, like today we talked about, okay, we have about 5,000 aside from admin work for entire quarter for this 30 core contributors that we have now left. And now we have to like feeling like, okay, let's coordinate with BGI and with funding. That's like, okay, do we even have our own project? Because that may itself already take all the energy or like all the resources out of it. Well, we do have energy probably, but yeah. So is that kind of aside thought through? Like, is that gonna be like volunteerism or some kind of hybrid response? What are the avenues?
You know, it's a great question, and it's funny you say how quickly it could be done now too. Like, I just watching my son grow up in the age of LLMs, right? He started building a Minecraft clone for Swift when he 4 years ago, when with the first LLMs, and now like every iteration he builds it from the ground up, and it takes him, half as much time to make twice as much progress. It's very funny to see. I mean, kind of funny, right? But not when you spent 2 years building a system. So I think I think of a lot of the systems that got built here like slow food, right? Like it's not fast food. You guys had to think through a whole lot of questions on decentralization and have a lot of discussions. And I think from that process, in a way that you can't get with LLM generation, you know, you could have an interface like that tomorrow, or even more whizzy, but the innovations, it's not the interface, it looks like to me, from what I've seen, and I apologize, I really don't know the systems in depth, but I have talked with people as much as a good deal about them. It's not about the interface, it's about the innovations, like the metadata in the payments process is very cool idea, you know, that could easily have never come to fruition, right? So that's again it, you know, like how do we see these nuggets of gold that have come up through all the experimentation in governance here in Deep, and bring that together into a better system that has all of that, and a simplified system. There's an operations, and so then to the second point, there's an operations layer budget that's in place to help a lot of these transitions happen. So I guess things haven't been finalized, but we're not going to take ambassador budget to do that technology coordination layer. That comes elsewhere. You guys have budget because you have a mission and you're building with it and doing things with it. And that's what that's what the whole transition is trying to guard and grow, is like, let's not have 3 systems being managed. Let's have one system being managed, and the rest of that goes to cool stuff, to hackathons, to R&D, to building developer communities. This is really what it's all about. And we don't want to collapse the communities as well, right? There are, as you say, really unique things. In BGI, we've made the decision where people are joining these work groups on a volunteer basis. As you say, there can be burnout there, but we're not looking for the admin part so much yet, which we have a budget to build, and we want to build in concert here, so that the people who want to come together and speak philosophy can do that. And then they can have the support through this operations layer, right? Which is a different culture than what's been built in Deep, what's been built here in ambassadors, and keeping those cultures and that spirit moving forward and growing is important, is critical, right? Is how we bring what's special about us to what we do. So there's a lot of focus on preserving what's special. The communities, you know, we do want a lot of sharing and osmosis, right? And we have that already. Lots of people in both Deep and Ambassadors and BGI, and yet in a space that's for a kind of purpose. You know, there's a culture there that people participate in when they're there. Again, everything's still in development. I'm making no promises. I'm speaking as a BGI person, and Peter and Mai and Jan and Raphael and folks in SNET, and how we're looking to organize and bring this forward towards that focus of making sure that we leverage everyone toward BGI, every all energy possible toward BGI.
Yeah, spot on. And just for clarity, that's not so much BGI as in the more the wider end goal for humanity, let's say. Yeah, definitely what you're saying in chat, it's really crazy. I can only imagine the time that took, and now just, yeah, it gets cleaned up by AI without any effort. Well, yeah, the floor is pretty much open, so if anybody wants to, feel free to unmute and just ask. You very much can.
Okay, then I'll answer the question that I'm thinking of. With Nunet being brought up, how does everyone see that? I see the core as the three of the ambassador program, deep funding, and BGI Nexus. Do you see deep funding as also part of that equally, or how does people see that?
Well, I think.
Am I saying the wrong thing? I'm saying Nunet.
Yeah, fair. I got that. Well, I would say no. In itself, they are a spin-off of SingularityNET, so that means they're a separate legal entity. Of course, within the family, let's say. So collaboration-wise and integrations-wise, sure. In itself, yeah, there's could also see Rejuve community at some point tying in or joining in on the RFP creation, for example, once the offernet is live. Same for Nunet, same for, well, in that sense, the wider ecosystem. But yeah, right now the effort is pretty much just on defending BGI and the ambassadors and the hackathons. But yeah, there's definitely a case to be made for going even wider over time. Yeah. But yeah, short answer would be right now, no, that's out of scope, I guess.
Great. Thank you for that perspective. Right. Spin off. Thank you. Thank you.
So yeah, I'm thinking if there's parts of it which now are not getting covered, which should get covered.
I wonder what are the next steps. Are we waiting for something? Are we supposed to do something?
Well, yeah, that's a great question. In a way, kind of waiting for all this whole setup is, as mentioned, it's not set in stone yet, and I would prefer we are proactively engaging with that before it gets set into stone. So yeah, for example, on the tooling side of things, comparing what we have and what deep funding has and what we can share, or on the other side where duplicated efforts are. I think, yeah, just at least getting an inventory of that.
We have, I think, multiple sheets where we listed our services and like what we could do, what and such like that. Has deep funding done that? Has BGI done that? So we can build the metrics together. Like if that's the comparison thing, because then we at least see the map of overlaps.
Well, for sure, the metrics is not there. I think deep funding has somewhat of a list of all their systems, and we have too. So in that, yeah, that shouldn't take too much. Yeah, exactly. Funny, and it's like you commented earlier in the chat, that pretty much right at the call, at the start of the call. Yeah, getting that going and comparing it in my mind. Like so far, there hasn't been like shared calls with deep funding community, us and BGI community. Sounds to me like that would make sense at least at some point. It's a bit unclear to me at exactly what point. As in, well, right now internally on foundation side, there's frameworks pretty much getting sorted out. That also brings unclarity on, well, first of all, what can be shared and at what point. Does it make sense to share stuff before it's set in stone? I would say yes, because then you can still adapt where it might make sense. But it's, yeah, I don't know, it's a bit of a tension there on, going public with concepts before they're crystallized. But that's just my personal opinion. That's not like any official foundation stance on the topic or anything. Yeah, funny, go for it.
Yeah, I do get what you mean about it can be tricky to go public with concepts before they've really been worked out. But one thing we are dead skilled at in the ambassador program is how you do that in a decentralized way. And I think it relates a little bit to what you were saying earlier, Tevo, about, this kind of layer of how we collaborate and how we bring people together. I think we've got a lot of experience of that in here, and it feels like something that we could be contributing to the whole process in some ways. I'm guessing that would probably come, in the sort of OfferNet process from the foundation going, right, we need people to do this, do that, to, I don't know, stuff like organizing sessions that bring people together, doing a little bit of digging to find out what people in different corners of the community think about this or that, and trying to, put together the insights so that people are being heard. That kind of thing. Feels like something that we know how to do here because we've done it for a long time now.
This reminds me the decentralization blueprint that was done like a year ago or so. And there was like a lot of like these experiences listed in different like dimensions and categories. Maybe this is something we could start from and like dissect that what is needed for this restructure. And then everything that is needed, we put into this, like, I don't know, we've done it a few times where we just like do a Miro board and prioritize what's easy to do, what's hard to do. And then we kind of get the scope of what are the needs we could start with. And this could be the OfferNet. I don't know what the concept is, but I assume there is like, okay, here is 1,000 AGX, this is the need we need, who is capable of doing it, who wants to do it, and then people show up who want to do it. We have like, I don't know, a week or two discussions, and then somebody just starts to implement and steer or drive the cause, and we just kind of loop back to the next like need. And so that as we move on to continuously with more and more people like taking up the need roles and just pushing through the entire cycle of concluding the whatever is needed for the decentralization and for connecting the teams. I'm just throwing ideas up.
Yeah, I think that's a relatively close description of. I mean, Haley, you can speak 10 times better about OfferNets than I can, but it's pretty close, right? I mean, an offer gets put out, people propose to fulfill that offer.
Yes, yeah. And there's AlphaNet systems being aimed at here. I think at first it will be a lot closer to um, the proposal process where a project, a group can propose a project, or SNet will request proposals for a certain need that's known, or even a task that's known. Marketing needs a video series on X, or documentation on this Hyperon component. So I think that early on it'll be more towards sort of a self-selecting rather than an OfferNets, but actually BGI Nexus is working on building a framework of the OfferNets for matching. Yeah, and I agree. I think that the points made here are it. We talked earlier, as Peter said, Raphael, myself, and Peter, about the various technical components, what each ecosystem has and what's sort of needed, and how can we find the flow through these systems, the amalgamation of systems, or the flow through these systems that again is effortless for communicating priorities and achieving results that are needed for Hyperon, for marketing, for ASI chain or ASI create, and bringing in the team members from Deep, from ambassadors. Again, BGI doesn't have much of an operations layer or technologies right now, but bringing together the people that have been architecting them to understand how to bring these flows together is, what we're looking at. You all know best.
Haley, have you named this next layer of the combination of combining or integrating all three?
No, I don't think we have. We tend to talk about a community open coordination framework more than a unit, right? Because it's a coordination between these multiple pieces that all are important in their space. BGI Nexus has a message and an opportunity that's so broad and wide and valuable to the world right now, and with the evolution of AI every day being scarier and scarier in many ways, right? Helping people see that there's alternatives, that they can get involved, that they can be empowered, that they can be thought leaders in this area. I feel that that's incredibly important, and that then those discussions can translate to real AI development. Again, incredibly important. And so it doesn't need to lose that, right? It can have that area, but it does need to coordinate so that once people are involved in discussions, well, maybe they want to get involved in governance, maybe they want to get involved in hackathons, maybe they want to get involved in building a component for Hyperon with an RFP, right? So how do we build a system where community, once they join at any intersection, that they understand about all the other intersections, and that all of those pieces are moving together in alignment, and that's all arms, right? That's SingularityNET, the main, the central, the foundation, the org, Deep, BGI, ambassadors, all together moving in alignment with coordination and achieving more together.
The word that I'm coming up with when you're speaking now then is cooperation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Collaboration.
Okay. Cooperation or collaboration. Yeah, maybe. Collaboration. Yeah. Yeah, because then it will be, then it will be cooperation at the global. Okay, right.
Not gonna lie, I need a dictionary to know the exact exacts there.
Cooperation, collaboration. Yeah, cooperation, we're doing things together, we're cooperating, but we may not be aligned. We both need to get out of this situation. So we're, for the moment, cooperating could be, right? Or it could be more extensive. Collaborating, we're on a shared vision and moving forward together towards something we both see.
So in effect, it will be a collaboration layer which contains a coordination layer, I believe.
Yeah, there we go. Yes.
Me, collaboration kind of means that we are working on the same thing, where we're in cooperation. I feel like two different people are working on different things, but they are aware of each other.
Yeah.
But I might be wrong.
I mean, I think that's nice. Yeah, I think there's a lot of distinctions there. I would say that it's all available. I would hope that the governance and decentralized strategic thinking that, as Vani pointed out, this community is so good at, would help elevate everything that Deep or BGI can do. And I would hope that the membership that's coming to BGI, you know, can find, it's all about finding the spot where I can have, where anybody in the world can have the impact that they crave, where getting involved and contributing to this mission is not just a lucky break. It's not, that I met Peter at an event and then joined the community because I knew that the ambassadors existed. It's like it becomes a thing where as soon as this comes on my radar and I'm curious about it, I can find the place that's a fit for what I'm passionate about, what I hear about this mission. Is it building the AGI? Is it building tools for ethical development and data transparency? Is it archiving the working group outcomes so that they can be utilized and pulled from by researchers and developers around the world? I think that's what it's all about.
Yeah, spot on. Yeah, let's see. The clock says we have a minute and a bit remaining. Don't really intend to super cut things short. Quickly reading up on chat. Could I entice you to read it out, Fanny, or prefer it like this? Or I guess you prefer it like this, otherwise you wouldn't do it. A hand. Colleen, yes.
Since we only had a minute left, I wanted to be able to make some sort of little announcement about what I am doing a little bit. It started for within the BGI work group of the MMMO, which I can't even repeat the name of that right now. Massive something. It's a huge purpose. Anyway, I've started a perennial watch report, which is actually the global AI surge resonance that I'm able to measure globally. So it has been going on for about a month now, and those reports will be regular. And yes, we are in a crisis mode at the moment, but I just wanted everyone to know that those reports will be, very valuable to us, and to not worry that we're on the case.
All right, a little cryptic there. Yeah, and I just want to call out Fanny's comment in chat because I do think it captures quite nicely. Basically saying, this is the thing, isn't it? With the best will in the world, actual builders will always be in the minority, a bigger minority every day, but still a minority. Lots of people who are interested in SNET's mission will be interested because they care about these issues and the ethics and how it affects their lives and their use of AI. But they might not ever be in a position to build anything. But they will want pathways for, okay, now that I've become aware of the issues, what can I do about them? How can I have a voice? And yeah, to me, that perfectly sums up, I'm not a developer. I did get Claude today, so maybe next week I will be a developer, but right now I'm not a developer. And it, really sometimes feels like, working with all this AI, it's like we're only catering to this tiny portion of humanity, but these issues, they affect 100% of humanity, and yeah, that's why it really resonated with me, Fanny. So thanks for sharing that. Yeah, highly fair. There might be a whole generation of builders coming. That's definitely true. And I have to admit that the tie-in of hoping for equal access, that being hopeful, that's great. Absolutely. Christina is saying she would love to continue this conversation. Well, there's a lot of avenues for that. Yeah, it makes me wonder what the best one is. I mean, yeah, Discord works. That's also part of, we didn't really touch on that actually, but there will be a shared space with deep funding and BGI communities and hackathon participants and us. Basically creating a space where we're all there, instead of being siloed off in our own little corners everywhere. But yeah, this exact conversation, it's quite ongoing. Kind of would make sense to have at least monthly, but preferably a bit higher interval kind of updates. And I guess that same would be going for deep funding community as well and BGI as well. Right now, I can't give you a date. That's the honest answer, but definitely there will be follow up. Yeah, BGI Nexus working groups use Mattermost. That could be a place to talk for now. Very true. It is invite only though. I can arrange invites, so if you want one, please don't hesitate.
Oh,
But,
we're using the BGI Nexus Mattermost that's attached to the deep funding server. So it's not invite, it's not the SNet world or so. I guess I can probably link to that, or I can give it to Peter who can put it in the channel, but
that
and
one
I'll
is
pick
just
up.
chat.deepfunding.ai, right? I believe.
Right. Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah. Chat.deep. So you make a deep funding ID and then go to chat.deepfunding.ai and use that deep funding ID to log in. And then there's a BGI Nexus server in there. And the working groups are beginning to collaborate there. So please join the conversation. It would be amazing.
Yeah, but then again, that's also part of the conversation only, right? Because on Discord, on the governance channel, that's where ambassadors are having conversations related to this.
Right.
Deep funding has their own
Yes.
places. So
Space.
right now, it is still a bit siloed there.
It is.
Won't be for long though. All right, I think that brings us pretty close to a wrap. Last check on the room before wrapping up. Yeah, cool. Colleen, thanks for sharing. Copied that link. All right, then I think for now I'm gonna, well, mostly thank you for your time, for being here, sharing your insights, and for sure to be continued. That's a guarantee. And yeah, hope to see you on one of the upcoming community calls. Part of this conversation will be continued on governance work group call on Thursday. I'm inclined to think 15 UTC, but I can't actively check right now. It's on the calendar, as always. 14 UTC, there we go. Funny, perfect. All right, yeah, thanks again, and do have a nice remainder of your Tuesday, and hope to see you on the next one. Doc says bye as well. Nice. Cheers.